So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Clarendon Community Center Improvements Meeting. I'm so excited for everyone to review the latest plans for upcoming improvements to this center. The changes and updates since our last public meeting are largely thanks to your commitment and feedback throughout this entire process, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts on tonight's presentation. The Clarendon Park Community Center is a resource enjoyed by so many people in our community. So we will continue to work on ensuring it remains an accessible and functional space for everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. And I'll pass it on over to Heather Gleason. She's the Director of Planning and Development for the Chicago Park District.
Thank you so much, Alderman. Thank you for being here tonight. And we just want to welcome all of you and thank you for spending some of your evening with us. The last time that we were all together to talk about Clarendon was probably first in person. Unfortunately, lots of things have changed since September 2019. And back then we had presented a draft final feasibility study with Williams Architects. Lots has happened since then. We're really excited to be with you all tonight to present the new plan and schedule for the Clarendon Community Center renovation project. So since the last time that we were all together, we've identified additional TIF funding for the project, expanding our construction budget to around 11.5 million with the gracious help of Alderman Kappelman helping us lead the way there. We've engaged Booth Hanson Architects and their team to lead us through design and construction. And we've worked very closely with the Clarendon Park Advisory Council, as well as our park staff, to make sure that the project you will see tonight is built upon the strong foundation that we laid with the community throughout our framework planning process. I think you'll see that through the refinements we've made to the plans with the Booth Hanson team, we are getting ready to deliver a complete and truly accessible building that will allow for a more complete use of the space by a diverse spectrum of community members. And most importantly, we are going to fix all the leaks in the building. Before I hand the presentation off to Kelly Pyle from our design team, I just want to take a minute to thank the Clarendon PAC for their devotion to this project and their ability to provide thoughtful and meaningful input to the process that has helped to keep this project on course and get us here tonight. And I especially want to thank Mike Brown and Sandy Olson, our tireless boots on the ground park staff who make sure our project team will deliver a project that's both beautiful and functional. And since she will never thank herself because she is a consummate professional, I also wanted to thank an indispensable part of my team, the project manager, Sarah White, who jumped in with both feet on this project years ago and has gotten us here today. So thank you very much, Sarah. And with that, I will turn it over to Kelly Pyle.
Okay, thank you, Heather. And thanks everyone for joining this evening. I'm going to be walking you through the current design. Okay, so if you can all see my screen. First, I just want to reiterate some of the main goals of the project. First and foremost, as we all know, this is a very old building. First built in 1916 as a beach bathhouse along the lake. The last major renovation the building saw was in the early 1970s. So because of all this, there are some fundamental issues that definitely need to be resolved with this renovation. First being accessibility. One of the main goals of the project is to really make the facility fully accessible so it can be utilized to the fullest extent by everyone in the community. We've strived for accessibility not only from an ADA standpoint, but also to create a truly more accessible, usable, and flexible building for everyone in the community, accommodating a full range of users from young kids to seniors. The other main fundamental concern I wanted to point out is something Heather alluded to briefly, the water issues that have been prevalent in this building. Another fundamental goal is addressing these water infiltration issues. Building's seen a lot of water damage over the years. We're making the necessary changes to really make sure that never happens again. We're looking at that from the roof, from the site, from the building envelope, really ensuring that that no longer remains an issue. And then as the budget allows, obviously we're upgrading systems, finishes, lighting, all trying to make the facility a more comfortable, functioning, durable place for everyone to visit. So I'll start on the outside and walk you through the site design. And then we'll work through the spaces and into the interior of the building. We've been working alongside site design group for the landscape design of the project. When developing the site design, kind of the main focus has been activating this western edge along Clarendon Avenue, which is at the bottom of the page here, as well as the south edge of the building being that main entrance. So starting on the west side, we're doing work to kind of, again, activate this plaza space. We're removing some old leaking planters that are currently over an electrical room, repaving the space, installing this, what you see here is this feature staircase, which is a nod to the grand staircase that once existed in the original building back in the early 1900s. So this feature staircase becomes this seating area that really starts to activate the plaza, kind of generates this performance zone in the middle of the space. We're looking to incorporate a variety of different seating options throughout the site. On the western edge here, you can see obviously the step seating itself, some various boulders along the edges of the plaza, and backed benches along the western edge there. Jumping back to the experience from Clarendon Avenue, really our goal has been to provide a very clearly identifiable, welcoming experience from that sidewalk edge. So we're trying to activate that street front. So here's kind of an image from Clarendon Avenue looking towards the building. We're activating the street front with this new seat wall signage element to kind of mark the pathway, mark the entrance towards the building. As you make your way down, these three very prominent beacon-like flagpoles lead you down towards the path, towards the main entrance. The landscape areas throughout the site include a variety of natural plantings. We also understand that community garden space has been a well-cherished element of the site in the past, and we'll be designating areas, planting areas for that purpose as well. One other major site element of note is bicycle parking. We're really trying to accommodate as much bike parking as we can, both on the south edge near the parking area, along that main entrance to the west, as well as on the north side of the building. In terms of materiality, you can kind of see some inspiration images off to the right-hand side here. We're looking at various textures and colors at the ground surface to bring life to these paved spaces. Back seating is an important element that we're incorporating. We understand there's a large senior community in this neighborhood, really trying to create spaces for seating for everyone. The inspiration images you can see here is kind of alluding to what that grand staircase on the west would become. And again, you know, we're incorporating warmth of wood, really trying to liven up and make these paved areas a bit more welcoming. Making our way down to the South Plaza here, you'll notice what once was that dilapidated entry vestibule has been removed. We've replaced it with a new vestibule, which has really allowed the plaza to open up and expand into a much larger, more usable space. Shading is provided in the plaza by these two existing trees you see. In regard to the entry vestibule itself, we've really rethought and reduced the size of this vestibule, again, opening up that plaza more. It's also allowing a lot more light into the lobby spaces and the adjacent spaces on either side of the lobby. When it comes to materiality, clearly brick is the predominant element on the facade, but it's accompanied by these details of limestone. You can see at a lot of the parapets and the windowsills and things throughout the facades. So what we're trying to do is really trying to bring that accent into the vestibule itself. Again, we're not trying to mimic the existing brick, but really play off of that accent of the limestone. Similarly, the metal elements that you're seeing we're incorporating, such as the windows and doors here. That's kind of playing off of the colors and materiality of that roof fascia up above. So to review the exterior materials, again, obviously the brick is that predominant element on the facade. We're bringing in the warmth and texture of wood and playing to that limestone accent and the dark metal accent as well. So before we move into the building, I just want to cover the last exterior scope of the project, which is the rooftop. Again, water filtration, infiltration being a major problem we're seeing in this building. We're going to be re-roofing all of the roofs in the project, a new fascia, a new soffit along the edges as well. At the roof level, you can see here, we're introducing some new rooftop units that are going to allow us to upgrade the mechanical systems throughout the building. Moving them up to the roof is allowing them to be a lot more accessible than their current kind of hidden away spaces, which are actually above the first level. Not easy to maintain right now. Bringing these rooftop units up here is also going to allow us to introduce some amount of air conditioning to the building. We're reviewing how much we're able to do within the budget. Another major element I want to make sure we discuss is sustainability. This is a major component in our thought process. First and foremost, when it comes to sustainability, I think it's commendable that we're keeping this building, we're hanging on to it rather than tearing it down and starting from scratch. This is obviously a big move in avoiding demolition waste, and it's allowing us to reuse that embodied energy that was once used to create that original building. From a site perspective, landscape elements, we're introducing our diverse, low maintenance natural plantings. We're addressing stormwater through added capacity, looking to use permeable pavers to reduce pressure on stormwater systems. New plumbing fixtures throughout the building are keeping in mind consciousness of water use to a minimum, low flow fixtures throughout. Several transportation related elements are important to this site, with transit service being so close nearby. We're introducing a new CTA digital display within the lobby that really promotes the use of public transit. We're providing electrical vehicle charger readiness within the parking lot. As I mentioned before, increasing the quantity of bike parking that we have. And then the last element, again, back to the fact that we're reusing an existing building, it goes a long way, but it's important to consider the waste that comes along with construction. So we're going to do what we can to minimize anything headed to the landfill. So now we'll move inside and take a look at the interior parts of the renovation. So back to the entry vestibule. We've really expanded the vestibule in terms of it's quite spacious to allow waiting areas out of the elements. Moving inside, this double height large lobby space, what currently exists is this large reception desk and ramp off to the east end. We're pushing these elements. The ramp is moving further east, the reception desk is moving further north, really to allow this to become a much more functional, more open space. We've introduced a new elevator off of the lobby to the west here. This is next to the newly renovated main office space. Moving to the east side, we're doing a full renovation of the women's restroom. All of the restrooms throughout the facility will receive a full gut renovation. In addition to the women's restroom, we're incorporating a family restroom as well as a mother's room right off of the lobby there. Even further east, we're incorporating a train shop that will be easily accessed by the model train space. Easy support access space there. And even further east, we're using whatever space we have available for more functions, storage spaces, and mechanical support spaces. Moving in, so back to the lobby, I want to bring our attention to, I'll kind of be moving through some interior renderings. What you see here, this red arrow is going to show where that view was taken from. So our overall approach to this renovation is really focusing on the historic aspects and letting those elements shine. The building has a lot of great history and detailing that we want to highlight. So the goal is to really create fresh open spaces, lots of extended sight lines, touches of color, the warmth of wood, durable materials that are going to stand the test of time. So here we are facing north towards that reception desk down below there. On the second floor, you can get a glimpse into that multi-purpose room up above. And again, sight lines kind of extending down throughout the lower level as well. On either side of the lobby here, you're seeing the spaces flanked with displays, whether it's historic imagery of the building. We've got a trophy display case, and off to the left, we've got a digital display, which will include that CTA display I was referencing earlier. Above on these walls, we're incorporating some warmth to the space with some wood paneling that is also able to provide a lot of good acoustic properties for us. Turning around, now we're facing south back towards the entry vestibule. In this view, you can really start to see how much light we're able to bring in through this new entry vestibule, both from above and poking larger openings into below here. On the right-hand side here, you can see sight lines into the main office space. So that main office is getting a lot of good views back out into the lobby. On the opposite side there is the corridor over to the women's and family restroom. Again, we're poking holes in that wall there to increase sightlines and visibility throughout. So then again here, looking east, we're poking holes in that wall again to increase visibility to that ramp that's directly behind this wall. The train shop is extending along that corridor behind us there. And again, you're getting a glimpse of that coffered ceiling that's in the multi-purpose room, which we're bringing new detailing into the lobby itself to really highlight that the intricate detailing. Now looking west, again, you're getting a glimpse into that main office space. We see the CTA digital display, as well as kind of the smaller vestibule that leads you to the elevator and the staircase. Below now, we're getting a glimpse into the model train room. From the lobby space, we're able to finally see in. Right now, it's pretty closed off from the remainder of spaces on the lower level, so it'll be exciting to get some views into there. So in relocating the reception desk down to this lower level, again, visibility is very important to us, making sure we're maintaining those important sight lines. So a lot of these spaces that we'll go through are incorporating new glazing so that we're getting good views into everything. Off to the east side, we've got a new teen lounge, which again has good visibility from the reception desk and direct access into the gymnasium there. Directly behind the reception desk is a new club room, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And further west is that model train room with, again, more glazing, more visibility. So here is a view taken from that reception desk, which we feel is the ideal place to maximize sightlines. I'll kind of pan through what that looks like. So here we are standing behind the reception desk, looking towards that teen lounge. If you move further south, you're able to get kind of a glimpse towards the gymnasium entrance. And obviously you have a full view of the lobby itself. Moving further west, we're getting views into that train room. And then directly behind us, we're able to see into this club room, which I'll talk about a little bit more. Not only into the club room, but we're able to see back behind it into the corridor beyond. So this club room that I was referencing, this is going to be a new multifunctional space. It's going to act as both a game room and can easily function as well as a classroom or conference room type space. We're providing deep storage on both the east and west sides, and again, allowing those views through. So here's a view in that club room. The space will be better equipped acoustically, electrically, to handle a lot of new functions. So moving further north on the ground level, we begin to ramp up towards these north spaces, which are actually raised again up above the lower lobby. They're raised a few feet up. So in order to keep everything accessible, we're creating these raised pathways that allow you to remain all on one more accessible level. So these club rooms back here, club room number 3, club room number 2, these are going to receive upgraded finishes. Club rooms throughout, we're also making sure has adequate storage closets. Heading east, the men's restroom, similarly to the women's, is going to receive a gut renovation. We're also incorporating a new family restroom just to the north of that. What once was the locker spaces and additional restrooms that are no longer needed is becoming more usable storage spaces throughout. As we make our way further east, we arrive at the gymnasium office, which has good views within the gymnasium and to that northern corridor there. And then arriving at the gymnasium itself, we're trying to really brighten up, clean up these spaces. We're cleaning up the brick, trying to really let that element shine in the space with everything else kind of a muted tone, aside from this pop of color at the human scale datum. New rubber sports flooring, new hoops, new wall paneling, new finishes throughout, new bleachers. We've introduced these clear story windows on the north side here. This is going to bring in some nice diffuse lighting into the space without any disruptive glare from direct sunlight. Is the benefit of windows on the north. Keeping moving further north, we arrive at the fitness room. Again, new finishes. What we're also seeing here is we're introducing a new family restroom with easy access off of the fitness room that can act as a changing room as well. So again, really just trying to brighten it up, clean it up, new finishes, new lighting, new paint. So we'll move upstairs next, and before I do that, here's just kind of a section that I'll walk through. Again, there's on the south end here, the new entry vestibule. You can start to see it's bringing in, again, a lot of light through the spaces. And as you'll see as I move upstairs, it's continuing to bring the light actually into the upstairs level, the multi-purpose room space up here. Also in this view, you can start to see kind of all of the level changes that are occurring in the building and the solutions, these raised walkways and ramps that we're using to resolve that. So upstairs, you arrive on the first floor through that new elevator that I mentioned previously, right alongside stair number 2 here. This level, again, as I just showed you in the section, has a lot of ups and downs surrounding this main multi-purpose space. So to solve this, we've created this elevated walkway surrounding the space. So it's bringing you up onto that level of the elevator and the stair, and keeping you at that same elevation as you make your way around the spaces to ensure that everyone's able to access all of these spaces. Additionally, the dance room is also raised up onto that level. The one exception to this would be that sunken multi-purpose room where we are incorporating a new accessible ramp. Newly renovated restrooms are on the southeast corner here. The extra restrooms that were once on this north edge of the building have been removed in order to allow for a much more expanded and usable pantry space. This is going to create a lot of flexibility for larger events that might occur up here. This also, removing those restrooms also allows us to create a much nicer, larger club room in this northwest corner. So the spaces we're seeing up here, really, we're creating these various scales of usable space, whether it be the very large multi-purpose room, the larger club room, and then the smaller club rooms off to the east side. And then again, as I mentioned downstairs, all these spaces will be receiving upgraded finishes, and again, keeping storage in mind throughout these club rooms. Focusing in now on the multi-purpose room itself, this space really is a gem of the building that we want to highlight. It used to be a boxing room, and it's got these really nice coffered ceilings, the existing brickwork that we're going to try to highlight. As it currently stands, though, this room is quite dark. It's not receiving any natural light. So that was a major goal, was to make sure we're getting natural light into the multi-purpose room. We're doing so from borrowed light from the lobby space, as I mentioned briefly previously, bringing borrowed light in through the dance room, and then as well borrowed light in through the club room on the north. So the multi-purpose room is really focused on this east-west axis towards these historic columns and brick detailing there. Step seating kind of leads you down that path into the multi-purpose room and focuses your attention on what could be kind of this performance zone up on the east end there. So I'll show you a few views within the multi-purpose room. First one being looking south towards the lobby. So here we are directly adjacent to the step seating that I mentioned. We've got the large windows up into the lobby, which you can start to see brings in a lot of natural light to the space. Also in this view, you're starting to get a glimpse of what we're doing with those raised walkways in order to allow fully accessible access to the restrooms and the club room up on the on the east side here. Next, I'll show a view looking west in the multi-purpose room. So this is kind of in that performance zone that I indicated, looking back towards the dance room. Beyond, again, we're getting a lot of good natural light from all sides in this view. We're getting it from the west, from the south, and you can get a glimpse of also from the north there. All new durable finishes. We're really cleaning up the ceiling, letting that really shine in the space. Then one final image in the multi-purpose room is just kind of an idea for what it might feel like during an event. Again, with the various sized spaces, with the expanded pantry, there's a lot of room for flexibility of what could go on up here. So here we are facing east towards that kind of performance zone. The space will be receiving a projection system, a speaker system, and we'll have some blackout shades, so that it offers quite a lot of flexibility for the space. And finally, we arrive at the dance room. Again, major goals are really to let the historic elements shine. So what currently exists in the dance room is this sloping ACT ceiling. above that is actually the original historic coffering. So we're going to open that back up, repair the coffering, really allow that element to shine. And you can see also in this view, we're raising up again so that we're all on that same elevation of the elevator and the staircase, with new engineered wood flooring, and it brings us up closer to the light off to the west, which is being brought through into the multi-purpose room. So to summarize the strategy we've taken, from an aesthetic standpoint, we're really trying to let those historic elements speak for themselves, really clean them up and let them shine. Painting things more muted and bright light tones with pops of color and the warmth of wood throughout. And then from that functional standpoint, the main goal was really keeping accessibility viable, bringing accessibility throughout the building, allowing these spaces to be completely flexible and usable for everyone. So the project schedule, we're currently in the design phase. We're going to be going out to bid in August, and following that with an 18-month construction phase. That 18 months, we're hoping to be working closely with the construction manager to look for creative ways that will allow us to keep some elements of the building accessible during various stages of construction. And that's all I've got. I'll return it to Heather and Sarah.
Thanks, Kelly. So that concludes the presentation portion of the meeting. And now we'll start the Q&A. Like I said, at the meeting opening, we will be taking questions and comments from the chat. We've already received a number of questions and comments, so thank you very much for that. Keep them coming. So I'm going to start reading through these, and then around maybe a little before 7 or so, depending on where we are, I will take a break and ask if there's anyone that wants to submit a spoken comment. So if you're having any trouble with the chat, there will be an opportunity to provide feedback to us. So with that, I'm going to start with the first question I received, and I received this as a direct message, so you may not have seen it pop up, but it's a good question. 2 parts. Where is the handicapped entrance? I only see steps. So I think, Kelly, can we bring the site plan back up, please?
Yes.
And then the second piece is, have we considered handrails for the front stairs so that people who are not completely disabled can go through the front entrance? So Kelly, could you please describe the accessibility strategies for the exterior of the building? Thank you.
Yeah, so as you know, both on the north and south edges of the building, our entrance is sunken lower than what we're at Clarendon Avenue. So we're definitely going to create accessible entrance. On the south-hand side here, you can see this is that ramp with handrails on both sides leading you down the path there to the main plaza. Just north of that is this larger, wider staircase, which will also have railings to allow anyone to come down. Similarly, on the north side, similar to what's existing currently there, there will be that same idea of the ramp with handrails and the stair with handrails.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is the big, the new step seating that we're adding at the west edge of the building will also be accessible. So it will be able to be used by people of varying abilities. All right, next question. This is related to the electric vehicle charging station. Is the city giving away free electric to cars, or will they have to pay for it? I hope so. So we are, as part of our sustainability strategy, providing the infrastructure for a future electric car charging station. So we will not be providing the electric car charging station, pardon me, at this time, but we'll be setting up the site. So when that becomes something that is needed, it'll be ready to go. So we're not going to give away any electricity yet. And I'm not sure if if the city has a policy on that. Does anyone else want to chime in on this? All right, well, I'm going to move to the next question then, but just so you know, our scope right now includes infrastructure and conduit for the electric car charging station, but not the car charging station itself. Next question, will the building, lighting, electric, and HVAC be LEED compliant? I'm going to start to answer this question, then I'm going to pass it off to Kelly. I will let you guys know that we are not seeking LEED certification for this building. However, we are greatly improving the energy efficiency of the building. And Kelly, can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. We're not pursuing LEED, but definitely all of those points are in our minds. The lighting is going to be energy efficient. The plumbing fixtures, again, low flow fixtures, and the HVAC system will be energy efficient as well, as much as we can.
Yeah, so new HVAC system, new water heater, new lighting. So we'll be running a more efficient building when the project is complete. Then we got two questions in a row about second floor bathrooms. One, it looks as if the second floor has very small 1 or 2 purpose bathrooms. And someone else, just a couple of questions down, asked, the addition of a family and mother's room are wonderful. Is there a possibility that we can also include a unisex bathroom on both the first and second floors? Kelly, can you speak to bathroom strategy, please?
Yeah, so we can definitely investigate adding a unisex or family restroom on the upper level here. We probably need to look at incorporating it somewhere again on that north side where we've expanded the pantry and the club room, but that's something to definitely look at. I'll move back downstairs. Again, the family restrooms here, we've got kind of these 3 designated family restrooms. These are meant to be fully unisex. The one on the south by the women's restroom, the one on the north by the men's, and then the one adjacent to the fitness room.
I can also add that before I was an alderman, I worked at Comer Children's Hospital, working with a lot of families with special needs. So one of the requests I made is that we have changing tables for children who are in diapers, who are who are adolescents. And so one of the changes that I've asked the Park District to make is to put changing tables for older children to make it more ADA accessible.
Thank you, Alderman. We'll be accommodating that change, yeah. Anything else on bathrooms, Kelly?
I think that's everything unless there are further questions.
All right, I think we'll move to the next one. And Alderman, maybe you can help us out with this as well. Is the TIF coming from the Clarendon Montrose TIF district or from the surplus given to the Park District?
I can answer that question. The Park District told me that they would not entertain any type of a rehab for the Clarendon Park field house until there was TIF money associated with that. That's why I was so desperate on making sure that this Clarendon Montrose TIF passed. Once it passed, what we did was we required the developer to donate $4.6 million to the Clarendon Park District. Actually, of the total TIF amount is $15.8 million. 2/3 of it was given away. $4.6 million was given to the Park District, and I think it's around 5.7 million. I might be off a little bit, was given to the Low Income Housing Trust Fund that provided housing for people who earn between 0 and 30% of their median income. Once the $4.6 million was contributed to the Park District, then the Park District worked to match those funds to make this happen. Our concern was that if we waited for the TIF to accrue funds through the taxes, that it would be so long that it may be too late to rehab the building. It would have to be torn down. So we were working under a very close time frame to make sure that we got the necessary funding as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Alderman. Moving to the next question, what about erecting a movable stage in the upstairs multipurpose room and theater lighting for performances? So we talked about this a little bit, and I think Kelly probably mentioned this in her presentation. We could, I mean, this can certainly accommodate a temporary stage, if that might be something that an event brings in. We don't plan to purchase that as part of the project right now, but it's definitely something that could work in this space. Theater lighting, we did not consider. We've got a healthy budget, but we don't have a huge budget. So that would probably be a kind of nice but expense. But I will tell you that we are including a projector and a retractable projection screen. So there are going to be some built-in elements in here for presentations or performances that can be used. So no theater lighting or movable stage right now, but that's definitely something that could be considered in the future. All right, next question. Has there been consideration for the safety of the existing trees during construction? The roots of a tree extend near the surface of the soil and will be damaged by heavy machinery moving over them. I'm concerned without proper mitigation, such as fencing, approximately 10 feet around each tree, we will lose a lot of mature trees that your designs take a lot of effort to maintain. As a certified tree keeper by Openlands, we can provide resources that help guide safety protocols to protect trees. Thank you for that offer. We are grateful for your concern. And I will tell you that as the park district, we take tree health very seriously. So we build into our specs, I think probably a lot of these guidelines and safety protocols that you're referencing here. We have tree keepers on staff, so we're familiar with the program, and it is a priority for us to maintain the health of the existing trees on site, because there's some beautiful big trees. Anybody else? Okay. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I think Lee from Site Design is actually here on the call if he has anything to add.
All right. Well, I'm going to move to the next one, but Lee, chime in if you think of anything. Next question. As a train club member, I'm wondering if pocket doors have been considered. While not a huge impediment, it would be great to not have to deal with swinging doors during open houses. Kelly, can you talk about if pocket doors could be an appropriate solution for the train room?
Sure. So from just a egress emergency exit standpoint, that's something that we need to investigate a little bit further. So I can't necessarily say one way or the other whether we could possibly do that. But that is a great idea. Definitely something we can look into further.
Yep, that sounds good. And then the only other thing that we'll consider when we think about that is security for the train club room, because we've heard it's paramount that we think about making sure that that train room can be secured when folks aren't in there, just to make sure that the layout is safe. All right, next question. For the outdoor landscaping, please consider mature trees and trees that do not have a sap component, i.e., we want to be able to sit underneath. Consider maple, elm, oak. Thanks much. Absolutely, we can consider that. I'm not sure, we're not quite at the point of having the plant list cooked and baked yet. So this is good. This is good input that we can take into consideration. All right, next note. I think the second floor washrooms are a bit small for spaces that could accommodate crowds. Perhaps merging the second floor men's and women's into a larger women's room and putting the men's room above on the men's room above the first floor men's room. Okay, another second floor washroom comment. So Kelly, anything to add here?
Those are all definitely valuable points. So I think we do need to investigate expanding those restrooms a little bit more.
All righty. Thanks everybody for the kind words, by the way, in the chat. We appreciate it. Are there plenty of USB chargers in the foyer for folks who have dead phones? I'm not sure we thought about that, but we do have USB hookups in some of the club rooms to play music and stuff like that. Kelly, have you ever applied something like this in a project for phone charging?
That's definitely something that can definitely be easily added. Obviously, we are upgrading a lot of the electrical receptacles throughout the building, so that's definitely something we can incorporate to the. I'm assuming the lobby is what the space under question.
Yeah, I think so. The foyer, so probably
Yeah.
the lobby. Yeah. All right. Next question, please confirm entry and exit points for the workout area on the northeast side. Thank you.
Yeah, so the main access into the fitness room is remains through the gymnasium. We will make sure that this is an accessible threshold. Right now, there's a bit of a step down to get into the fitness room. That remains the one main entrance. Just from a security standpoint, we're trying to keep these other doors closed and remain closed however possible.
Okay, next question. Please address the smallness of the washrooms. So I'll talk a little bit about washrooms today versus washrooms of the future. So today Clarendon has an abundance of washrooms, right? I think that we counted 13 last time we were there. So we are reducing the quantity of washrooms to meet the code required quantity. So we're listening to your comments though about the second floor, and we think some of that makes a lot of sense. But the size and the quantity of washrooms meets building code, and that allows us to fully renovate all of the washrooms in the building. So in the framework, or in the feasibility study that we did, we looked at redoing some of the washrooms, but leaving some of them in their existing state. For this rendition of the plan, we decided that we would just like to make all the washrooms as nice as possible. So some of them, it may seem like we have less washroom capacity than we did, but we're kind of overserved right now in terms of washrooms. But we do hear the note about the second floor, and I think that that's a really good point.
And I will also add that because it's getting TIF funding, it's all washrooms are required to follow the American Disabilities Act. They look at wheelchairs, accessibility. The design of the bathrooms are meant to make sure we comply to the ADA.
Thank you, Alderman. Okay, next question. Will the electrical spaces west of the train room be available to the club? So this existing electrical closet, you heard Kelly reference it earlier. That's what's under that planter on Clarendon side of the building right now. A portion of this may be accessible to the club. We're moving the transformer, the ComEd transporter, out of the building and onto the site outdoors. It's just easier for everybody that way, but we are leaving the switchgear. So some of this room will have to remain in an electrical closet, but a portion of it may be accessible in the future. All right, next question. Pardon me. Are you planning to rent out all these club rooms for private parties? I find this effort, pardon me, I'm so sorry. I find this effort by the Park District to gain revenue from users to be against the park's purpose. So I think that a portion of the intent is to, improve some of these spaces as rentable spaces for the community, but we're certain that's not the main priority. It's still meant to be a usable community building with just better spaces. So it'll be still used a lot in the same way that it is today. I don't know, Sandy or Michael, do you have anything to add?
We do rent out a lot of the club rooms in all of our parks, but it's for community use. It is for birthday parties. It is for celebrations. It could be for a small wedding. And that's community access. So that is like what the Park District is about, is having things that people can come. That's not our main focus. The main focus is still going to be the programs, the people in the parks. And serving the community as we always do. But if a room is empty and somebody wants to have a birthday party, it sure does make sense for us to be able to have it. If you live in some of the condos and apartments, you don't have space for that kind of thing. So Clarendon having it is a really nice opportunity for the community.
I'll also add that it just follows the same guidelines that are used at all park districts. We're not going to be any different.
Yep, thanks everybody. Next question, you mentioned designating community garden space. Will that be in addition to the existing gardens? So yes, so the existing community gardens are going to remain as is. Some of the space that's in front of the building right now is planted by the park staff, and there are some areas within the landscape that's being updated that could be used as community planting areas in the future. We're not really envisioning this so much as like vegetable gardens, but ornamental plantings, similar to what kind of happens now. So it would be kind of a replacement and maybe expansion of some of that program use that exists today on the site. All right, next question. Is the building considering investing in solar panels in this current project or future additions? We are not considering solar panels as part of this current project. It could be considered in the future. One thing, when we're trying to limit our footprint on the site, so that's one reason we're not introducing a solar panel kind of installation that would happen on the ground. And even though we are redoing the roof, we're not redoing the structure of the roof. So we thought about a green roof a lot, for example, when we were first envisioning this project. But when we got our structural engineer engaged and we reviewed the existing conditions, it's just not possible to put any additional load on any of the roofs of this building. They are kind of at their max capacity, particularly when we put the new roof on and the mechanicals. So at this time, we are not thinking about solar panels, but certainly in the future, if the opportunity arose, I suppose it's something that could come online. Kelly, anything else to add to that?
That's exactly right. The existing roof structures, both over the main roof, the gymnasium roof, and the lower roofs, they were all designed just to hold the load of the roof itself and snow loads. They're not currently designed, unfortunately, to hold anything above that.
Thank you. Okay, it's 6:56, so I'm going to read a couple of more chat questions, and then at 7 o'clock I'll take a break and we'll see if anybody wants to speak. Next question. We are members of the community garden south of the building next to the parking lot. We would like to be able to garden through the construction, which brings up a few concerns. First, what have you considered regarding staging of materials and building the new entry exterior? We don't want to lose access to the garden or have construction debris in the garden. Two, will we have access to water in that area? Three, can we have some lead time if work that may contaminate the garden will occur? And four, more of a statement, we don't want to lose the native border between the garden and the playground retaining wall. So this is all really good information that we can take into consideration as we make our construction plan. And I think that we can accommodate you. There will be construction traffic through that lower area, but there's really no plan to go very close to the garden. So you guys should be safe and able to operate throughout construction. Kelly, can you think of any reason why their operation would be interrupted?
Yeah, I would say with some of the repaving work and regrading that we are doing around the building, there might be some smaller portions of the construction process, very small in comparison to the larger construction schedule, where they might become inaccessible, but we'll do everything we can to keep those accessible throughout. So thank you for that information.
Sarah, this is Heather. I can weigh in a little bit too. So whenever we get a general contractor on board to do this work, we can certainly provide the community with updates once we have thought through all of the construction staging. our hope is that we are going to be able to keep the spaces as operational as we can. There are going to be some things just for us to be able to do all this wonderful work for you that we are going to have to either shut off or, have inaccessible just for people's safety. But we will absolutely come back to the community and do another meeting to explain construction once we get there and we have a contractor on board.
Thanks, Heather. Okay, next one. You did not address, this is from 643. So I think that we maybe did address it, but I'm going to read it anyways, just so to reinforce the point. You did not address the limited small washrooms for the second floor. If there are events, classes, the bathrooms will not accommodate people without long lines. So we're going to take a look at this. We heard that. We heard that message loud and clear. So thank you. And then one more. 6.9 million from Wilson Yards TIF, 4.6 from Montrose Clarendon TIF. So I think that was just a point of clarification to the TIF question. Okay, at this time, and Sandy and Mark, maybe you can help me out. I'm going to take a quick call for, excuse me, spoken comments. So if you have, this is really meant to accommodate folks that are having technical difficulties or trouble using the chat. So if that's the case for you, please either unmute your mic right now and speak up, or if you can find the raise your hand function, use that, and we will call on you.
I don't see any raised hands yet.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the questions then. Going back to the chat. All right. Next in line, might be able to buy cheap theater lighting from Royal George or Mercury Theaters. Both are closed. Okay. Thank you. That was, I think, a follow-up from an earlier question. The plans are beautiful. Will we have access to them at a later date to review and show off to friends? Yes. So we will be sharing the presentation, the recording of this presentation, as well as the slideshow presentation through the Alderman's office. So that should be available to you shortly via a link on the website. So absolutely, we'll share these with you. Next question, could we see the plan for the pan from the reception desk again? Kelly, can we pan?
Yeah. Yeah, so then again, we're facing east here into the teen lounge there. And then south towards the lobby. You can see the CTA screen off in the distance there. And then coming west towards the model train.
And this is kind of a big move. So this is something that we talked about. So we've been engaged with the PAC pretty closely ever since since Booth Hampton's been on board. And so moving the reception desk, the concept of this was part of the feasibility study and moved forward into our design plans now, as you can see. And so this was something that we've kind of gone back and forth on with the PAC members, and we always really appreciate their insight because they help us see things that sometimes we maybe didn't see right away. But I think from a surveillance standpoint and a safety standpoint, we feel like the front desk functions best down here. So so it remains on this lower level, and we put together this panorama to kind of show how visibility will look for the staff person at the front desk. All right, next question. Tagging on to the tree question, for the landscaping, has the center considered pollinator garden beds to support local wildlife? Like I said, we are still in the process of developing our planting plan for the site, but that's certainly something that we can consider. Native plants are a priority for our landscape plan. So pollinators, I think, dovetail nicely with that. So that's something that we'll definitely consider. All right, next, will the concrete on the west side of the building be addressed, the area just west of the mosaics?
Yeah, so we are repaving this entire West Plaza, likely going to become permeable pavement that allows the water to kind of seep through into the earth below.
Yep, so that will be all new paving, and then with those seating boulders and the kind of next to the stage area. All right, next question. Thanks for all the great work.
Also, my understanding is the garden that's by the mosaic will have to be removed because of water seepage that is causing some issues.
Yes, yeah, thanks for pointing that out again. That's a big move too. So right now the mosaics are applied to the west face of the wall, and in front of that is a landscape bed. So that where Kelly's cursor is, that is currently a planting area, and we are removing that soil and we are removing those plants from there because despite efforts in the past of the Park District to seal the planter and make it watertight, there's just we've not been successful, and there's an electrical closet under there. So it's not a good situation with water dripping on the switchgear and so forth. So we're removing the plants from that area, and we're creating this kind of stepped seating area that Kelly spoke to before. So it's a nod, like Kelly said, to the old grand staircase that used to access that side of the building in the old beach house days. All righty. Next question. Any upgrades to the bocce ball courts? No, unfortunately, not as part of this project right now. We're sticking pretty close to the building in terms of our site work. Most of the areas that we're improving on the site are happening because we have to make some kind of stormwater improvement there. So,
but if somebody has a request for the bocce ball court, we haven't had a lot of people that have used it. We've upgraded it a couple times, and if somebody has ideas or is interested, stop by and see Mike, because we can look at that from a different angle through landscape and stuff. If somebody is actually interested in maybe doing a league or something there, we would love it. And just stop by and see Mike, and we'll try to get something taken care of if that's something that the community is interested in doing.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay, next up, is the ventilation system being designed to protect future users in light of COVID or other future airborne viruses? Kelly, can you speak to that one?
So that's definitely something to keep in mind with the introduction of these new rooftop units that we're incorporating. Outside air is getting a major upgrade. So the flow of air throughout the spaces is definitely seeing an improvement, and COVID is definitely on our minds.
Thank you. Are you able to give any insight into how the construction will affect the concurrent use of the building, i.e., how much time, if any, will the building be closed for use? At this time, we can't give a good idea of that. We're just not close enough to construction. We will know more about that when we get a contractor on board and we're able to really nail down the construction plan. But I will tell you that we've heard loud and clear from the beginning that keeping access to the building as much as possible, at least the portions of the building during construction, is a priority for the community. So we're going to do everything we can to accommodate that. All right, I love the next question. I love the boulders on the West Plaza, but I'm a little worried they might be a hazard. For example, if we have dance performances, as in the past, any chance of moving them? Yes, I think that we could move them. We can take a look at that and just get them clear of the stage area. I think that might make some sense. Kelly or Lee, anything else?
Yeah, that's a good point. They can definitely be pushed away so that we're avoiding any hazard.
I'd say that Kumba Links could probably provide some good advice about that as well.
Yeah, good call. Okay, I think that I have made my way through the chat. So I would like to make one last call for spoken comments if anyone has them.
Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yep.
I would like to say thank you for a beautiful presentation.
Hey, our pleasure. Thank you for putting up with us bugging you every day about the building.
No problem.
Well, okay, everybody. So if there's any other questions, just type them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to remind everybody that we have recorded this presentation, and we are going to get a link to the recorded presentation out to you folks as soon as possible. Bear with us. It requires a couple of different staff people doing their thing. So we'll get it out as soon as we can. Once we get the link out, we will leave our email, our project email open for 2 weeks. So we can accept any other questions or comments from anybody that attended this meeting or anyone that watches the presentation. I'm going to tell you the email address right now. It is Clarendon Community Center 2021 at gmail.com. So Clarendon Community Center 2021 at gmail.com. And we'll get that back out to you all as well when they send the link. And again, we will, oh, thanks, Melanie. And then again, we will share this PowerPoint presentation as well. So thanks for everybody for sticking with us over all this time. I feel like we're getting pretty close to the finish line and it's really exciting. We'll be back to check in with all of you when we get kind of closer to construction. And until then, please keep an eye out for communication via email. Thank you very much. Alderman, Heather, Sandy, Michael, anything else for tonight?
Just thank you so much, Sarah. You did a great job.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks,
Nothing
everybody. We're looking
further.
forward to it.
Yeah, good. We hope
Thank
everyone
you.
is happy with the project and the process that we're going through, and we will definitely be back out with more updates. Sarah, I think there might have been in the thank yous, and we really appreciate that everyone is happy with the presentation tonight. A couple more comments, so maybe we just want to grab those before we leave. I believe someone asked about track lighting. In the
thank you.
Something
Yes.
about landscape that flew by. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so Boulders in the West Plaza is where we left off. Can the train club get upgraded lighting such as track lights? We've talked about this in the PAC meeting. Kelly, can you provide an update? I think we're upgrading lighting and ventilation in the train room, if I'm not mistaken.
We are, yeah. And if track lighting is what everyone would prefer, then we can definitely pursue that. We are going to be incorporating new lighting in here.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks to Melanie for putting the project email address in the chat. Please grab that if you're interested in sending us a note. Lee, thanks for addressing our tree question. He says, for the question regarding tree safety, the landscape plans include a tree preservation and protection plan, which establishes tree protection zones along with detailed notes intended to minimize damage to existing trees in their root system. So thank you to Lee and Site Design Group for the vigilance on that. And thanks again, everybody, for the kind words in the chat. We're really excited about this project and looking forward to getting it done.
And I'll say this one thing, we're all immensely excited, but the person who's probably most excited is Michael Brown. Michael Brown has been in the Park District at this Clarendon Park Community Center for many decades, and he's put his everything into it. So I'm just so glad this is happening while he's still here. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Absolutely.
All right. Well, with that, everyone, thanks again. And I think that we will sign off. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.